Let's get one thing straight. You've been running from loneliness your entire life. It terrifies you, you deny it, but deep down you know it's true. You've filled every quiet moment with noise, distractions, forced conversations, shallow connections. You've chased the chaos just to avoid facing yourself, as if silence were some kind of enemy you had to keep out. But what if I told you that the silence you fear is actually the doorway to your freedom? They sold you the lie. That being alone means you failed socially. That if you're not surrounded by people, something must be wrong with you. But think about it. How many times have you felt lonelier in a crowd than when you were truly alone? How many times has the noise only made the emptiness louder? Chosen solitude is a quiet rebellion against a world terrified of looking inward. It's not an escape from life. It's a deep dive into its truth. When you embrace solitude, you strip off the masks, the expectations, the voices that never belonged to you. And for the first time, you finally hear your own. No one tells you this, but the greatest discovery you'll ever make won't come from books or advice or conversations. It comes from inside, in those raw, uncomfortable moments of silence, when all distractions fall away. That's where real transformation begins. Psychology proves it again and again. Your mind needs stillness to process, to heal, to create. In solitude, your brain unlocks its deepest powers. Creativity flows. Solutions appear like sudden lightning. But here's the part no one warns you about. Before the clarity comes the storm. At first, solitude hurts. It feels like withdrawal, a brutal detox from the addiction of social validation. You itch to escape yourself. You crave the noise again. But right there, in that raw discomfort, is the gold. The more you resist being alone, the more you become dependent on others to prove you exist. But when you embrace it, when you invite solitude into your life like an old friend, one who's come to share forgotten truths, you discover something unsettling. You don't need anyone to be whole. Let me repeat that. You don't need anyone. The emotional freedom born from solitude is brutally transformative. You stop chasing approval because you don't need it. You stop fearing rejection because you've accepted yourself, your light, your shadows, all of it. And once that happens, authenticity becomes your greatest ally. Few people understand this because most are trapped in the endless loop of needing to be seen. But not you. Not anymore. Because in chosen solitude you realize something powerful. The chains that held you back were never real. They were smoke, illusions. And the moment you stop fearing them, they vanish. As you walk further down this quiet path, something magical happens. Your entire vision of life begins to shift. The expectations that once haunted you, irrelevant. The pressure to fit in, gone, like morning mist in sunlight, because now you see clearly. You didn't come into this world to meet anyone's expectations. You came here to ignite what burns inside of you. That inner fire, smothered for so long by noise and opinion. It begins to grow. It wakes you up. It moves you. It transforms you. And in that awakening, creativity begins to flow. Real, pure, unfiltered. Ideas appear with a clarity you've never known, because they're no longer polluted by the voices of others. Voluntary solitude is the birthplace of innovation. The great minds of history knew this. There is no genius without introspection. There is no revolution without quiet rebellion, and there is no truth without stillness. But here's the difference maker. It's not just about thinking. It's about daring to listen, to hear your own voice without distortion. It's about having the courage to face your inner demons, with no distractions, no filters, no anesthesia, because in solitude, there's nowhere to hide. The lies you've told yourself fall away, one by one, and what's left is the naked truth of who you really are. Yes, that truth might hurt, It might burn more than any outside judgment, but it's also the master key, the one that opens every door. And once you find it, there's no turning back. You begin to live from a place of real power, not borrowed from people, not borrowed from praise. Real, raw, authentic, and that's what makes you unstoppable. Because real connection with others, it doesn't come from need. It comes from internal abundance. When you are enough for yourself, your relationships change completely. They stop being desperate transactions for affection and become true, soul-to-soul encounters, two people choosing to walk together, not out of dependence but from freedom. Chosen solitude doesn't isolate you from the world. It prepares you to truly love it. It sharpens your vision. It trains you to listen without distortion, to love without expectation, and above all, to create from the deepest part of your being. Here's the paradox. The more you distance yourself from the noise, the more deeply you connect to life. In the silence, you hear the purest rhythm of your existence. When you close the door to the outside world, you finally open the windows to your inner one, and that's when it hits you. Solitude isn't a punishment. It's a privilege, a sacred sanctuary where you rebuild yourself, piece by piece, no pressure, no rush, no masks. It's the space where your truest self begins to emerge. Powerful, unapologetic, whole. So stop deceiving yourself. The real trap isn't solitude, it's dependency. The real prison isn't silence, it's the constant noise that drowns your inner voice. The real danger isn't being alone, it's surrounding yourself with people who add nothing to your life. Today, I invite you to rewrite the story. Stop seeing loneliness as an enemy, and start seeing it for what it truly is, your most loyal ally on the path to fulfillment. You don't need noise to feel alive. You don't need a crowd to validate your worth. All you need is the courage to sit with yourself and listen, because when you do, when you finally embrace solitude as the doorway to freedom, you'll discover something that changes everything. You were never truly alone. You were always with yourself. And that is more than enough. Because in the echo of your own silence, you'll find the answers the world never gave you. And in that moment, solitude won't be something you fear. It will be the home you always return to. And now that you know this, that solitude is not exile, but refuge. Let's go even further. There's a dimension of solitude that almost no one dares to explore. Solitude as a training ground for autonomous thinking. Yes, it's not just a space to listen to yourself. It's fertile ground to build your own thoughts, free from the mental contamination you've absorbed your entire life. Think about it. From the moment you were born, you were fed the beliefs of others. You absorbed ideas, traditions, and expectations that weren't yours. You were shaped inside a borrowed mental structure. They taught you what to want, what to fear, which paths are safe, and which ones are dangerous. But did you ever truly stop to question any of it? Solitude gives you that brutal opportunity to dismantle all of it. Because when you're finally alone, really alone, without the world tugging at your thoughts like invisible strings, you can hear the only voice that truly matters, yours. And I'm not talking about the echo of everything you've been taught. I mean the voice, buried deep beneath the layers of social conditioning, the one that knows what you really want, what you really believe. In solitude, you become the architect of your own mind. This is where true mental alchemy begins, because when you choose isolation, you finally learn to separate what you've been programmed to think from what you actually brutally believe. And that difference? It changes everything. When you depend on the crowd, your thinking is reactive. You respond to what's expected of you. But when you choose solitude, your thoughts become proactive. You stop reacting, and you start creating. And that shift, it's the silent revolution. Because when you think for yourself, you begin to live for yourself. Decisions that once seemed impossible become clear. The doubts that used to paralyze you, they lose their power. You stop asking the world if your path is right. You decide for yourself, with the quiet, unshakable authority that only deep reflection can give. And believe me, there is no power greater than conviction born in the intimacy of your own mind. But solitude takes you even deeper. It becomes a ruthless mirror, one that forces you to confront your real fears. Not the surface-level fears you hide behind, but the ones that keep you up at night. The fear of not being enough, the fear of failing, the fear of leaving no mark behind. Solitude brings them to the surface, strips them bare, and makes you face them head-on. Does it hurt? Absolutely. It's a necessary pain, like muscle tearing before it grows stronger. But in that brutal confrontation, you heal. You stop being a slave to your fears, and you become their master. That's when solitude becomes more than introspection. It becomes a forge where identity is no longer borrowed, but built. Because only when you face your demons in silence, with no witnesses, no masks, no escape, only then can you look the world in the eye, without ever looking away. Now let's go even deeper. Solitude allows you to explore a concept few ever dare to touch: cosmic insignificance. Yes, that uncomfortable truth, that in the grand scheme of the universe, you are a microscopic particle floating in the infinite sea of time and space. At first it might feel terrifying, but in reality, it's liberating, because in solitude you realize something profound. Your mistakes? They're not universal catastrophes. Your achievements? No matter how grand, they do not define the whole of your existence. This understanding lifts a weight you didn't even know you were carrying, the constant pressure to make everything meaningful. Solitude teaches you to enjoy the simple fact of existing, without needing to justify your presence in this world. And paradoxically, by embracing your insignificance, you become immense within. You let go of the fear of failure, because you finally understand life isn't some exam with invisible judges. It's an experience, one meant to be lived fully, without the burden of impossible expectations. But we're still not stopping here, because there's a deeper, almost forbidden truth that only reveals itself in the darkest moments of solitude. Communion with time. When you're surrounded by noise, time feels like a tyrant, chasing you, pushing you, suffocating you. But in chosen solitude, time changes. It softens. It stretches. It becomes yours. You realize it's not time that's consuming you. It's you who wastes time by filling every second with noise and meaningless motion. In solitude, you reclaim your hours. Time becomes a silent ally, letting you build at your own pace. You escape the tyranny of urgency that devours everything outside. Do you see where I'm taking you? I'm taking you to a place where you finally understand. Solitude is not a prison. It's a workshop. It's not a punishment. It's an opportunity. It's not emptiness. It's fullness. But only when you let go of the need to be seen, to be approved, to be validated. From this place, your entire view of life transforms. You learn to love the slowness of reflection, to savor the depth of uninterrupted thought, to value the quality of a few authentic relationships over the quantity of hollow ones. When embraced with courage, solitude gives you something priceless: control over the only life you'll ever live. So, let me ask you, how many more days will you let the fear of silence steal your chance to finally hear yourself? How many more hours will you spend in conversations that drain you, in company that doesn't understand you, in noise that only numbs you? The answer doesn't have to come now. But when it does, let it be yours, not theirs, not the world's, only yours. Because in the echo of solitude, there is only one voice that matters: yours. But wait, don't leave just yet, because now comes the most brutal part of all. What you're about to hear is something few ever come to understand, and it's exactly what separates those who survive from those who truly live. There is a power hidden in solitude that no one ever told you about. Why? Because it's uncomfortable. Because it scares people. Solitude teaches you to embrace emptiness without trying to fill it. You train yourself to endure the absence of stimuli, to sit with the void, to resist the urge for instant gratification, to live without needing quick answers. And in that silence, far from the cheap dopamine the world offers you every second, you find something far more valuable: mental resilience. Listen closely. Whoever endures solitude endures life itself. Whoever is unafraid to be alone is unafraid to lose everything, because they've already lost it voluntarily and discovered they are still whole. This is the core of true psychological strength. It's not about having no fears. It's about facing them head on. No distractions, no anesthesia, no one else carrying them for you. And now here's the twist you never saw coming. The more comfortable you become with your own company, the more magnetic you become to others. It's a paradox. When you stop needing approval, people start seeking yours. When you stop shouting to be heard, others lean into your silence, wondering what you know that they don't. Solitude transforms you into a silent magnet. Without even trying, you don't need to boast. You don't need to chase, because everyone secretly longs for the peace you've already found. And no, this isn't arrogance. It's not loud. It doesn't need to be. It's a confidence that isn't seen, but felt. It shows in your calm, in your gaze, in the way you make decisions without hesitation. It's the serenity of someone who's walked through the darkest hallways of their own mind and come out with fire in their eyes. So hear this. The next time silence surrounds you, don't run, don't open the app, don't text anyone. Don't reach for noise, stay. Stay in that uncomfortable space a little longer, because every second you resist, every moment you don't escape, you're becoming stronger than most ever will. That is the real training, not empty motivation, not some guru promising magical steps. True transformation happens in the quiet crucible of your own mind, when you stop fearing the echo of your thoughts and start listening to them with respect. And here's my challenge to you. Yes, you, the one who made it this far. For the next 24 hours, give yourself 30 minutes of complete, brutal solitude. No phone, no music, no screens, just you and your thoughts. Minutes of discomfort. 30 minutes of truth. 30 minutes of facing the self you've been avoiding. I'll warn you now, it will be uncomfortable, maybe even unbearable, but it will also be the first step toward the most powerful version of yourself. And when you're done, come back here, find this video, go to the comments, write just one phrase: I've listened to my true echo. That's when I'll know you're not like the others. You don't run, you dare to look inside, and before you go, subscribe. Not to inflate numbers, not to feed empty algorithms. Subscribe so we can keep walking together down this uncomfortable but absolutely necessary path to mental and emotional autonomy. Because I promise you, this journey has just begun. You won't find easy answers. Here, you'll find the questions everyone else is too afraid to ask. The questions they ignore because they cut too deep. So hit the bell, not so I can chase you, but so you don't miss a single step on this brutally honest road to your own freedom. Because if you've come this far, it's not a coincidence. Something inside you already knows. It's time. Time to break the invisible chains. And now, to close this circle of fire, I want to leave you with an image you won't be able to forget. Imagine for a moment that the entire world goes silent. No voices. No expectations, no noise. Even the criticism, even the applause fades into nothing, and in that absolute silence only one thing remains. You, just you. And if in that moment you feel peace, then you've understood everything this video was trying to tell you. See you in the next one, but remember, if you forget me, that's okay. I didn't come here to be remembered. I came to remind you who you are. I disappear now, but you stay with the flame, burning.